Black Lightning Season 2. This is my spoiler review. I have a mostly spoiler-free version on my blog, soundedbettermyhead.com. You can check it out there. I just fixed the stupid typo where I accidentally called the city of Freeland the city of Highland, so hopefully I didn't embarrass myself too much when people read the mistake. I'm giving this season a 2 out of 5. Just did not have focus. You have a 16 episode season and it was just kind of all over the place. If you look at The Gifted, which was a fairly similar run, maybe a little shorter, it was pretty established that the inner circle of bad guys, the good guys got to stop them, and they're basically working at that for most of the season. There's a few other side plots, which is fine. Here, okay, once again, Tobias is the main bad guy, but just never seems like there's that much effort to stop him. He's not really doing anything blatant where he's trying to take over the world or take over the city or destroy something. And yeah, occasionally the heroes try to get him, but he's not really much of a threat, at least as far as the heroes are concerned. And even when, as an audience, we see what he's up to, it's so vague that it takes a good chunk of the season before we finally see what his plan is. And then we get to the finale and realize his plan really wasn't that thought out, and it just pretty much sinks immediately and everything's just done and over with. And then there's other weird side plots that just don't add up to much. There's that strange, really strange arc where they go to South Freeland and this group of blacks that live in the woods, and they're feuding with these weird white people that have superpowers that they got from some kind of semi-racist chick that it's never explained where she gets her powers. They initially seem like some kind of a rip-off of a Venom symbiote thing, but I don't. They never explain where she got her powers. Mostly, from what we know, all the superpowers in their universe come from ASA testing on children, or the Green Light, which is a similar drug. So I don't. They never explain any of that. Not that they have to, but it's just, when you're trying to set up this universe and you say people got powers from this and then other people have powers, it's a little odd. When you're more established, let's say like the Flash or Arrow, you could kind of do that because we've seen so much other stuff in these shows. You don't have to explain everything with a particle accelerator or shrapnel that's got dark matter on it. I mean, again, most of the season was about stopping the bad guys. It seemed like the full first half of the season was Khalil and Jennifer running from him, which is, yeah, he's a threat and he's got assassins coming after him, but it's just not. Once they're rescued, it kind of ends the threat, and it's kind of weird. But again, that was a decent storyline. It was kind of a weird redemption arc for him, but I think it worked in the end. It actually ended up being pretty tragic when he was killed. Also very brutal with Tobias ripping his spine out, or at least the implant, one of the two, if not both. Another strange storyline that never pans out is the Grace Choi. She was introduced last season as a love interest, and she basically just got vanished. Like, didn't see her again, really wasn't brought up. They slipped her back in this season where I pretty much had forgotten about her. I don't know a lot about her from the comics. I read up a little bit. I know how important she is in some of the books. I know she's apparently an Amazon warrior. I don't know what she is in this show. She seems to be some type of shape-shifting creature that eats cows or horses or something. I don't know. They intentionally don't explain it, and they just kind of throw some shit together at the end and just kind of confuse the audience. But what really makes this show work, it worked last season, it works again this season, is just the family dynamic. This isn't some billionaire who recruits his IT girl and his bodyguard and they put together a team, or all these scientists team up with some super speedster and they start fighting crime. This is a guy who was given these powers and his daughters inherited them, and they begin working together as a team, but it's just they're a family first, and it's like all the emotional beats always work so well. The humor works so well because they're how this family is. They tease each other. It just feels so grounded that it helps when some of the more fantastic episode elements come together. That you believe these people are just so tight with each other. As always, the show has an amazing soundtrack. Uses just a lot of like classic R&B music. Occasionally a little bit of hip hop, but it's mostly like some R&B, maybe a little jazz here and there. It just sets the mood so well. One thing the show lost this season, though, I think was Garfield High was its own kind of entity. Like it just felt like a part of the show. It felt like part of the. It was almost like a character in its own way. This is a school that was essentially formed by Jefferson. It's like his ideals of what society should be. It was just a good reflection of what he brought, his mentality, and we've barely seen the show this season. Jennifer really couldn't go anymore. Jefferson popped in and popped out. He basically lost his job eventually as the principal, and you got this slightly over the top white authority figure character, which they almost tried to flesh him out a little bit, and it almost worked, but they just kind of dropped the ball. But like I said, most of the show focused on either their house or in the sanctum, and just felt like he lost a little something, just a little character, kind of like, at one point Oliver Queen actually went to work. He had a company owner, used to spend most of his time at, this police station, and not every waking minute at Star Labs. I understand that police station's boring, and you want to see him at Star Labs, but it's just a shift these shows seem to go through, and I thought Highland had a little bit more character than some of those other places I mentioned. And then you got a lot more of the Lynn working with the ASA, which definitely gave her a lot more to do. She wasn't just some kind of background character, so I did like that stuff. The head of the ASA, I thought I was going to end up liking him. Then he ends up being like he's still kind of a douchebag, and he may or may not still be a douchebag. I think that's really about it. There's not a ton to talk about on the show. Besides, I do want to go through my notes, look at some of the episodes, see if anything is worth mentioning. Actually, right off the bat, I did kind of dig. Every episode started off with like this little chapter heading and like a little kind of drawing. Briefly reminded me of like something they would do on Legion, but it was more consistent here. It wasn't just some random different thing every episode. It was just the same stylized thing. So that was a nice little twist, made it a little bit different. A little surprised how quickly some of the characters got taken out. I don't remember the character's name, but Jefferson's secretary, basically, who turned out to be an ASA agent. She got took out pretty quick. Cyanide, who was supposed to be this badass, she got taken out. And that's like just the first episode. Didn't know what I expected it was going to be in that briefcase. Initially, it made it look like it was supposed to give him so much power, we were told at the end of last season, and then here it just turned out to be access to the pods, which was kind of weird. And there's a few other odds and ends, files they got a hold of. But I don't know, it was kind of a mild letdown. This is kind of a weird storyline they started off with before Grace Joy came back, where Thunder was just basically kind of hooking up some semi-random women and some pop star or whatever she was, and it was just a strange story. Like, it just seems so kind of, like I said, some of the side stuff seemed to be kind of random compared to what was going on. I mean, maybe it was a way just to have her appreciate Grace down the road, but I don't know, it just felt a little quirky. Decent new character. Again, I don't remember what her name was. She was the doctor to ASA brought in to help out with the pod kids, and she was just completely had very few morals and just did whatever it took to get the job done. She didn't care who died in the process. She pretty much changed sides so many times during the season. She's still evil in the end. She had no redeeming qualities about her whatsoever, which was what they went for. But I thought she was a good addition to the show. That's what I'm really trying to get at. Wasn't sure how I felt about the storyline with Thunder taking an alter ego and fighting crime. I think they were calling her Blackbird, where she was stealing from the gangs and giving to the poor. I thought that was going to be more of a... I thought it was going to blow up in her face a lot worse than it did. It really just kind of fizzled out. But that was like a running thing for a while. Again, it was just... thought it would lead to maybe something more, but it was just another background plot. Definitely did not believe that Gamby was killed. It was just too obvious that he was ready for some kind of a loophole. That's some great acting moments, especially when Jefferson breaking down after thinking he was dead. That's another thing I wanted to mention. There was a lot of either, I don't want to say death fake. You had the fake out death with Gamby. You had the moment where they thought Jennifer might be dead. and of course they were both fine. And then you had on top of that like more resurrection. Lala came back again, which that never really went anywhere. I thought he would play some kind of major role in the finale, and he just ended up laying on the ground in pain and having more tattoos. So I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish. The priest who was poisoned by Cutter, he showed up alive at the end. It turned out he never died like they said he did. It looks like now Khalil might be coming back. So just too many resurrections on the show, and they only kind of half-ass explain it. Apparently there's at least one guy that can resurrect you, but I don't know, it was weird. The whole thing was just so not even explained. It was just kind of like, oh, this guy brings people back and whatever. He also had this strange thing going on where Jennifer was learning to use her powers, and she was going in this weird, like, kind of mental space with this, I don't know what the lady was. I want to call her mutant, but I don't know where she got her powers from. She's very kind of vague about everything. She seemed to be like a kind of an oracle type character that's like kind of all knowing. That was just weird because where does she come from? Like Lynn somehow knew her from somewhere, evidently. I don't know if the ASA let her know about her, or somehow she knew her from something else. I said so much stuff is just kind of thrown in there and never really explained. He had the whole weird thing where Tobias was talking to the painting of his sister. Thought that was supposed to show that he was, losing his mind, but then he just kind of went back to being Tobias. That just happened to talk to a painting of his dead sister. And it was a kind of little odd thing they added there. It didn't really make me feel like he was losing his mind as much as he should have, if that's what the point was. Nice that Henderson's finally like fully on board with the team. So he's basically got his own kind of Commissioner Gordon working with them. So it worked out. Those guys had a good relationship when he didn't know he was Black Lightning, and it was pretty strained for a while. Now they're back on the same team. So I thought that was a nice touch. Season finale was kind of anticlimactic. There was supposed to be this big epic thing going. There was like the riots, the power's out, all this crazy stuff's going on, and you see a couple of glimpses of it on the news, and it really didn't hit. I didn't feel like all this chaos was going on in the background. I just felt like a couple things we've seen on the news. We're supposed to have this big fight with the MOP versus Black Lightning and Thunder, and it was kind of a mediocre fight. They really didn't use their powers, and if they did, it wasn't very creative. It was just kind of there. Really, one of the highlights overall for the season, though, I think, was Jen's journey, trying to become a superhero and controlling her powers. And I just thought it was really well done as far as her character development. I thought the acting was great, just her emotions as she's going through this. Wanting vengeance for Khalil being killed, and then finally reining herself in. I think that was probably the most interesting part of this season, and especially, it's a kid. It's a little like the Spider-Verse. It's just a kid trying to learn about her powers. You got the family element. This time it's a black family, so it's different point of view, and like it's just about protecting your neighborhood and not just going out and saving the world. So like I said, overall, it was an okay season. It had a lot of potential. It would start to go in like a strong direction and then just get lost and go somewhere weird that didn't really help out. And that's really all I got about to say. Again, I got more reviews on my blog, soundandbettermyhead.com. I got my comic strips. And, thanks for watching.